Hello and welcome to Premier League Central. It's a little bit different this week. I'm in my bedroom in lovely Hounslow. Charlie's upstairs in lovely Hounslow. But where are Tig and Viraj? They are not here. They've gone planes. They've flown different directions. One's in Ireland, obviously Tig. The other one's in India. His homeland, obviously Viraj. They're in much lovelier surroundings than we are here. The police have been outside all morning. It's carnage, but we're going to crack on with the podcast via Zoom because that's 2020 and that's what we do. How are we, boys?
I'm good. I'm really ready for this podcast. The most amount of preparation I've done for once. So I'm really excited to throw some stats out there.
That bed looks lovely behind you, by the way.
Thank you.
Really comfy. Tig, what's it like being back in Ireland? Nice?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, very, very nice. Weather is okay, but got the best 2 nights sleep I'd say I've had in about 3 months anyway. Yeah.
You're looking fresh. You're looking happy to be back in the Holy Land. But no, we'll battle on. Charlie, you're all right. I just saw you about 5 minutes ago. So
yeah,
I'm sure
thanks for asking. But yeah, I'm absolutely fine, mate.
Cool. Right. This week, we're going to look at West Ham United, aren't we? Their struggles last season, but look at them this year. Really, really good season. Look at the pros to that. And then on the other hand, we're going to look at Charlie's side, Manchester City, who are struggling somewhat, aren't they? We're going to start with Manchester City.
I'm happy to do Manchester City first. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start on a negative. So, Manchester City, okay. I think they're without a win against any of the top 10 sides in the Premier League this year, which is concerning, to say the least. They're ninth in the Premier League after 11 games played. They've scored only 17 goals, which is less than teams like Crystal Palace. Okay, the least in the top half, that is, which is pretty damaging. Charlie, I have to start with you. What has happened here? Why is there this drop-off in form? Are you getting a sort of alarmed by it, or is it just a little bit of a dip?
I'll be honest, Sam. I've been alarmed for weeks because it's just not like us. It's weird because, we know how good City can be for the last 2-3 years before this season. Hang on, there's a plane about to fly over. Got that right there. We know how good City can be. When they're on form, they're absolutely electric. And when we started the season playing, not lighting it up in the same way that we had been, I was thinking, God, when's this run of form going to end? But to be honest, at this point, I don't think you could even say it is a run of form. It is a major issue at the moment. So, Sam, I am quite alarmed by what I've been watching recently.
Just to add to that stat, the City have scored less goals than the other team we're going to talk about today, West Ham, who scored 20, and Manchester City too. I was going through stats and I did some mathematics actually. So I'll throw some stats out there. I'll do a ratio difference between the goals scored and the goals conceded. Right?
Try and keep the audience on side here, Viraj. Keep them engaged, mate.
Yes, simple. In the 18-19 season, the goals scored ratio minus the goals conceded ratio was, 1.89. 1.89, right? So that means they were conceding 1 goal for almost every 2 goals they were scoring. This season, it's 0.55. That means so they scored 17 and conceded 11. That massive drop, 1.3 drop, is really concerning. And they haven't had as many chances as well. So the big chances created has dropped massively. They've had 2 big chances created this season. Every game. Per game average is 2 big chances. And last season it was 2.9, which is almost 3.
And let me tell you, when your big chances created is plummeting like it is with us, you really, really need someone on the end of it who's going to take every chance that you can possibly get. And that is where we're hugely missing Sergio Aguero. And it's kind of answered the question, can Jesus be the long-term replacement for Aguero? I like Jesus. I'm a fan. I do like him. I want him to succeed, but he's not clinical enough when you stack him up against someone like Aguero. In the United game at the weekend, we fashioned 1 or 2 really good chances. If we had Aguero on the end of them, he probably would have put one of them away. We got into positions where someone could fire the ball across the box. Who's the best at getting on the end of them? It's Sergio Aguero. So we're badly missing him because we're not creating as many chances this season. We're not capitalising enough.
But in a couple of seasons,
What I was going to say to Tig was touching on Charlie's point there with the personnel. You used to have Leroy Sané, Sergio Aguero, Raheem Sterling as a front three each week. Now they've got Mahrez, Ferran Torres, Gabriel Jesus. I know Sterling's still there. I don't think, for me, that doesn't give me the same sort of. You don't get scared maybe as much of that front sort of line. Do you agree, Ty?
Yeah, and I think there's a few of them there as well. Like Mahrez has obviously been having a very good season, but like there's a few of them and they just don't seem to deliver in the big games at all. Like Viraj put out the stat earlier, like top 10 opposition, all from 6. I actually went through it myself. I just wanted to give a look at it. They played Liverpool, Spurs, United, Leicester this season. They've had over 54% possession in all 4 of those games. They've conceded 9 goals and scored just 3. Like, that's shocking. And I totally agree with Charlie. Like, there was a moment in that game, I remember the ball came in from the left-hand side. I think it was from Sterling or Cancelo. And Jesus had it. And all he had to do was finish it straight off. And like you know, if Aguero was in that position, he would have buried that chance that Jesus had. But like, I don't know, Jesus just doesn't really strike fear into defences, I don't think. Like, he's only scored twice this season. And I think another worrying thing as well, like you put Jesus, Sterling and De Bruyne together and they've only scored like 7 goals between them this season. And like, that just isn't good enough at all. And like, I think another issue, is even on Saturday evening as well, and in a lot of the big games this season, they've looked a bit leaderless, I think. Just lacking, like, to be fair, De Bruyne will always try, like, and when he gets on the ball, he'll try and create things. But I feel like otherwise, there's no one stepping up and there's no one, like, taking over a leadership role and saying, we want to go and win this game. And, like, I never felt on Saturday that City were going all out to win that game at all. And I think United were there for the taking. Like, United defended well or whatever, like, but I felt like if City upped their game any bit there, they could have won that game. Like, and but at the end of the day, though, Spurs and Liverpool slipped up yesterday. So like, there's
a point you made that, Tig, and I wanted to pose a question to Charlie actually, as the resident City fan. So basically, Company's been gone 2 seasons. He was the leader of the dressing room. He was the manager on the pitch when the team used to go out. He used to marshal the troops. Fernandinho kind of does that when he plays. You've still not replaced Company. Fernandinho is going to leave end of this season. And there's a lack of leadership, which is quite evident at Man City. Out of those current crop of players, who do you see as the possible replacement in one of those leadership roles?
De Bruyne would be the one I would put forward. But so, like, Sam, on this topic, Sam asked me yesterday or the day before, just as a bit of harmless trivia, he said, who's the biggest legend, Aguero, David Silva, or Vincent Kompany? Kompany, the answer's irrelevant, but Kompany we let go of 2 years ago. David Silva we've only just let go of, and Aguero has been out for what feels like ages.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, those 3 who were the spine of our team for about 10 years, we've just been without them, which means that De Bruyne is the only one in that team that players are going to look up to and kind of marvel at as this is like a footballing genius. This is the kind of guy we need to be working our socks off for, and that kind of thing. But it also means without those 3, the look of our side is just the kind of side that we would have put out in like a League Cup game a couple of years ago. No Aguero, no Silva, no Kompany. It's like our 3 best players in the last 5-10 years, and they're all not there anymore. So, yeah, we're struggling badly because of that.
But do you not think sometimes you need? I always get a sense that De Bruyne is the kind of leader who lead from performance rather than lead with words. And the players on the pitch also need someone like a Jordan Henderson, for example. You see when he doesn't play at Liverpool, Liverpool's performances massively drop when he's not on the pitch because he shouts and screams at players where to be, and that's what Kompany used to do.
No, but I actually don't agree, Viraj. When I watch Man City, Kevin De Bruyne is a very vocal guy. He's very demanding of his teammates. I don't know, Sam Tig.
I agree with that.
I agree with Charlie on that. I thought De Bruyne was getting fairly bloody angry on Saturday because he's the fella you need to be getting the ball to. Like, he's like, because I don't think City they weren't getting enough out of Mahrez or Sterling on the wings. They were getting no change there. And like, if one fella is going to change the game, it's going to be De Bruyne. Like, and but other than that, like, I give them the one bit of credit I would give them is that they are a lot better defensively lately. I think Ruben Diaz has had a massive effect on City defensively, and you have to give credit. John Stones has played extremely well since coming back into the side as well. But
isn't that slightly concerning though,
like,
that the team is struggling to a
they
point
look,
where they've had to bring John Stones back from the cold? Isn't that concerning?
No, not concerned. He's a good defender, isn't he? That's part of Pep. Pep plays players who he thinks are in the moment. But I think you guys have been talking away about leaders, which is fine, without sort of registering the main issue, which is it's not even to do with leaders maybe as a part of it, but it's obviously the intensity of the side is way down, isn't it? The intensity of the team is just shocking. It comes after if you play under a manager for a few years, you almost get tired of listening to the same sort of ideas. Maybe some of those City players have just got tired of Guardiola and they don't want to play that intense pace. And maybe Charlie, don't scoff his nose at it because it's a thing that
he does have a 3-year cycle. People talk about Mourinho's 3-year cycle. He does have a 3-year cycle himself.
Very, very, very intense working under Pep Guardiola. So maybe some of those players have burnt out a little bit. The intensity was shocking at the weekend. Walking around the pitch, the press is not there as it used to be. Teams are getting through. Charlie, like that must be
there's so much to unpack here, Sam. I don't know where to begin. So basically, I don't see what is there to get tired of? Tired of battering the league? Tired of being a fantastic
working
team?
that hard? The training intensity just so high.
People do get tired. People switch off.
I don't think they're getting tired of the manager. I think the reason you saw them walking about against United is because we didn't want to throw the kitchen sink at them, because we know what happens when we do that. We're going to lose. We're going to lose the game. If we attack United, we're not stupid, right? What would be stupid is if we played United the same way we played them in the last 3 or 4 meetings. We set up camp in the half, we hold a high line, and we just hope we can break them down. But then we know we're just going to get done on the counter-attack. So we're not stupid. Pep didn't want to lose that game yesterday. But United, we weren't the only ones that set up defensively. United did too. That's why the game was so dull to watch. United packed the middle of the pitch, Sam, right? They were so narrow, their team, so that they forced us wide. And we don't want to be out wide. We don't want to be doing a David Moyes getting the ball.
But my point is you can be cautious a little bit. But there was opportunities in that match, Charlie, in the second half. And you were saying at the time where they got the ball into good areas and it was so slow, the passing was slow, the moves happened a little bit quicker, they could have got in. So that's not down to
also with the quality.
It's a lack of E and F. Not even just, come on, give me more. Sorry, I'm annoyed with them because it's not a good enough performance.
The quality of that side.
But realistically as well, work away there.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying the quality of that side that Man City possessed, they're far more superior to what Man United possessed. So rather than sitting back and defending what you're saying, that we were cautious because we didn't want to lose the game, surely with the amount of investment Pep's had in that squad, he should be trying to go out and win that game rather than sitting back. Because if you want to be champions of that league, when you've already dropped so many points so far, surely your aim should not be not losing to United away rather than going out and win. Because if you already go 10 points behind...
Yeah, okay. If you spend loads of money, then yeah, obviously you want to beat United, but we're not stupid. We've got to learn our lesson. We can't just turn a blind eye to what's happened in the past. We've got to take into account what's happened against United previously, because it was just like a broken record. The last few times we played United, I've had a terrible feeling because I just knew what was going to happen. At least this time, Pep has changed it around a little bit. Granted, it is showing a lot of respect for United, a team that is worse than us, but our approach against United wasn't working and it needed a rethink. So I think, just could have easily won that game. We set up to not lose, but we could have easily won that game yesterday. Could have nicked a goal quite easily.
So do you think then Gabriel Jesus is not the long-term replacement for Sergio Aguero? Because Aguero is not getting any younger, and sooner or later you'll have to replace him. You can't just keep depending on Aguero to come back and bail your team out. So what can...
Yeah, no, we'll replace him. We'll replace him. We'll replace him. I've heard... we're in for Haaland, apparently. Come on, we're in for Erling Braut. In about a year's time. Apparently there's a release clause in his Dortmund contract, and we've been heavily linked with him. And to be fair, he doesn't massively fit City's style of play, really. He's more like a play off the shoulder, run beyond the last man kind of striker. But do you know what? I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't complain if Haaland wants to come in.
Am I right to think that Ferran Torres was playing up front at the start of the season and was scoring goals? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, but you can't throw Ferran Torres in every week. He's not a striker, is he? He's done well, but
players have changed positions.
He's only very young, isn't he, Tig?
Yeah, he is, and there's a lad sitting on that bench, and obviously Charlie's a very big fan of him, but surely it's time to kind of give Phil Foden a run in that team now. Yeah. He's a very, very creative player. It's surely time to unleash him. I don't see what this thing is about protecting him or whatever. If he's good enough, play him. And you can see from City this season, they're not creating a lot of chances. Phil Foden it looks like a time, throw him bloody in, because he'll be hungry. He wants to make that England squad as well, next year. He seems
100%.
like the perfect type of fella you want to put in there. And they played 2 holding midfielders against United as well. I didn't really think there was a need, especially in the second half, for that. They had I forget your man's name, I think it's Garcia and Fernandinho in midfield, Rodri and Fernandinho. And I didn't really see the need for it in the second half. They could have easily brought on either Foden or Bernardo Silva, add something more to the team, but they clearly weren't going out to win that game. That was the thing.
It's strange, isn't it? Because you've got Bernardo and Foden. Bernardo's performance has maybe not been as good recently, but you've got those two, haven't you, they're the only two in the squad that can sort of replace David Silva in the sense of picking up those little holes, in the gap between midfield and defence.
Phil Foden has the potential.
Yeah, Foden should start on one
When are people going to start questioning Bernardo Silva, though? He's not been good for now almost 2 seasons.
Well, not 2 seasons, a year and a half. A year.
Well, it's a little more.
I don't know. Charlie, what's your take on Bernardo?
I like Bernardo, but it's not like Bernardo's not the main player in this team, so I don't need to be questioning him. I don't need to question Bernardo. If he's not good enough, put Foden in, and then I don't have to worry about Bernardo anymore.
But the heights Bernardo hit in the 18-19 season,
18-19,
really good, wasn't he? So there is a top player in there. So why is he not?
Yeah. Oh no, he is. He's a top player, and it's in that season he had to step up because De Bruyne was out for almost the whole season. And he had to step up, and he was absolutely fantastic. But he was surrounded by a team which was also firing on all cylinders. Bernardo Silva is such a talented player; he can light up any team. But it's kind of difficult for any one player to really just pick it up by the scruff of the neck and carry the whole team on their own. They're finding it really difficult to do that. De Bruyne is trying his best, but Bernardo can't do that on his own either. But going back just to say a little bit, I'm not going to go on, but I agree totally with all of you. I think it's time for Phil to it just totally beats me why Guardiola hasn't put Phil Foden in the team. I don't get it. So I can't really give more insightful comment than that. I just agree with you, not Pep.
And
well, Manchester City then.
I had one more point to bring up about Manchester City, if you don't mind.
Go on then.
Yeah, so basically another thing that last thing I wanted to touch upon about Man City was when Pep Guardiola a few weeks ago, when he came out and said, I'm done picking players on reputation. I'm going to pick players on performance. And the first thing he did the following game was drop Emerick Laporte, or however you always struggle with pronouncing his name. But he's supposedly one of the best centre-backs in the league, and he can't even make his own City side. So surely that's another concerning factor.
I really love Laporte. But I'd rather he picked it on performance rather than reputation. If he believes that Stones is playing better than Laporte at the moment, then put him in the side. I want to see Laporte playing well in the side. I want to see him get a run of games and eventually be the partner to Ruben Diaz. But I'd much rather Pep was choosing the team that way around compared to if he was picking it on reputation and not performance.
But is it not concerning that a player you spend 50 million on is kind of not in form and he's struggling to even make his own 11?
We spent 50 million on John Stones. We spent 50 on John Stones as well. It's like you can't. It's a lose-lose.
If you're picking on form as well, I would also say that you could probably have Phil Foden in that side ahead of Raheem Sterling, because Sterling has not been playing well this season either. I don't know what's been going on with him, but he hasn't had much effect on this season so far at all. And anytime Foden has played, he's had an impact. And like what Charlie was saying, I really don't get what's going on there at all. Like, it's like, is he too young to be put in the side? Just don't understand that. I think it's time now. Like, they're playing West Brom, I think, on Tuesday night. Surely that's a game that you throw him in, give the lad a bloody chance, and keep with him.
You'd have to put him in. Sterling's not playing well. But it's hard to pick out any single player that's played well for us this season. I'd single out Kyle Walker.
And Cancelo.
I think Ruben Diaz has looked fairly good. Cancelo's been good. That's 3 of our back 4 that have been decent. No one in attack, really. Oh, well, De Bruyne, obviously, in spells, has been really good as well. So,
it's a struggle, isn't it? It's a struggle. And they've got West Brom next, then they've got Southampton away, and then they've got Newcastle at home in the Premier League.
A proper mid-table battle, that one.
It's called now a Carabao Cup. Which one's that? The City? Well, all of them, apart from the Southampton one.
Yeah, Southampton a top 4 side. Southampton a top 4 side. Don't compare City to them.
You just come out of this absolute rubbish, don't you? Spur me out this crap, don't you? After all that.
I'm just saying.
No, but they need to get some wins quickly. Obviously, you'd favour City to finish above Southampton at the end of the season. Right. We've done loads of negatives, okay, and I'm completely drained from that. So let's talk about a positive, okay, and that's the form of West Ham United, the Irons, who lots of fans were sort of very sceptical at the start of the season, not thinking West Ham would do that well. This is West Ham fans themselves. But since the opening day of the season, I think, they have scored in every Premier League game. Okay, they're 6th in the league, which is pretty impressive. I would say so anyway. And they've scored 20 goals. They've got 20 points, 7 more points than they had after 12 games last season. David Moyes is doing a really good job, isn't he, Ty?
Superb. I'm glad we actually came to them, because I think they deserve a bit of love, to be honest. Won 4 of their last 5, and I think this West Ham team, it kind of reminds you of the old Everton side that he had before. He kind of has players in the team that, if you were looking at them from afar, you'd underestimate them. Except maybe Declan Rice is clearly a very, very good player. But the likes of Soucek, Jared Bowen, Ogbonna at the back, they're all just having a massive, massive impact. And I think just like another old Moyes thing, always good at the set piece as well. They have the joint most goals from set pieces along with Chelsea this season. They're so effective. I think they very much build from that spine in midfield with Soucek and Rice. They're really, really solid together. You don't get much off them at all. And I think the scary thing about West Ham as well is they've been going so well, and they've been without the man that basically kept them up last season, Mikel Antonio up front. And Haller has been playing slightly better there lately as well, playing up front. But it's amazing that they still have Antonio, when he gets back fit, to come back into that team. And I've seen Benrahma playing as well. I think he'll get better over time. I think he's just acclimatising to the Premiership at the moment. But when you start looking through, they're going really, really well. And I think, to me anyway, they look like a guaranteed top 10 side at the moment anyway, the way they're playing.
They keep on scoring goals late on, don't they? They keep on scoring late goals, important goals. Viraj, that's a sign of a good team if you go to the end. They got the comeback against
like I said earlier,
against Fulham, they scored the winner late.
Yeah, like I said earlier, they've got a fight in their team, and they scored more goals than Man City this season, which is, they've been scoring goals, which is really good. Look back to the start of the season, actually, and I thought, okay, it's going to be a troublesome year for West Ham. At the start of the season, if you remember, they lost Grady Diangana, and it was Mark Noble publicly came out and slated the board and the owners, saying, how can we let Diangana go? It's a shambles. And at that point, you were slightly concerned about West Ham. And they started the season with 2 losses from their first 2 games. And you start to think, ooh, they're in trouble. But they've really pulled it back. A credit to David Moyes, because I thought his best days are behind him. And he's really resurrected this team. And Charlie said it on an earlier podcast as well. Soucek is his new Marouane Fellaini. And he's proving it. He scored 2 goals in his last 2 games. And happy days for West Ham.
Yeah, I agree with Viraj. I really thought Moyes' days were behind him. Because he's kind of an old school manager that just tries to do the basics well. Kind of, I don't want to say the dark arts, because that phrase is getting used a lot lately with Mourinho doing so well. But maximising the amount of goals you can get from set pieces it's kind of gone out of fashion, but it is so useful. It can get you so many points over the course of the season, and that's what. So yeah, I thought that kind of wasn't as useful anymore, but there is still a place in the game for David Moyes. I thought with his time at United, Sunderland, Real Sociedad, it was kind of showing that he's finished. But people are quick to forget, aren't they? 10 plus years at Everton, overachieved almost every single year. So yeah, Moyes is doing really, really well.
The good thing about that side is, as you say, they're quite combative, aren't they? They're quite disciplined. They faced on average about 11 shots per game, I think it is, which is one of I think they're sixth lowest in the league, so it's pretty good, and that's because that midfield pairing. Charlie, do you think that? Yeah, what do you think the secret behind is that? Is that personnel, or how he sets them up, or what?
Moyes has found the perfect balance between physicality on one hand and skill on the other hand. And he's like a chef. He's got the two ingredients, the pan's there. He's dashing them in like that. And it's just made this wonderful meal at the end of it, right? So if you look at the kind of contrast of players throughout the side, you've got Ben Rama, Maradona flicks, rainbow flicks, all of that. And then you've got Souček, who's just a big Czech guy who just gets himself about the pitch. You've got Pablo Fornals, a lovely little crafty Spanish young player with a lot of class about him. And then you've got Michail Antonio, who's just a massive battering ram up front. Moyes just kind of finds a way to marry those two things together, because why wouldn't they work together? You know, the skill kind of advances them up the pitch and sets things up. The physicality causes problems and can score goals as well. So that's what I think Moyes is handling particularly.
Another person who we've not name dropped yet, who I think's made a massive difference, right? If I told you at the start of the season, if I had to ask you, name the wing back with the most Premier League assists so far this season, who would you name?
Cresswell.
You wouldn't name Aaron Cresswell at the start of the season, would you?
No, I wouldn't. But I'm saying he is, isn't he?
It is. It's Aaron Cresswell.
You'd say Robertson or Trent, wouldn't you?
And it's Aaron Cresswell, who's another Scouser. But yeah, Aaron Cresswell's been the top assist getter for any of the defenders so far this season, which is saying a lot about his attacking prowess as well. It doesn't get talked about enough, and he's clearly had the freedom.
His delivery. You look at Ward-Prowse at Southampton. He's got a sweet left foot in him as well. Like, he put in a gorgeous ball for Albana's goal as well against Leeds. And Viraj is right. He's a very, very underestimated player that isn't talked about a whole lot at all. Like, really, really isn't. Like, but they've got such a solid look to them at the moment. Like, obviously Christmas period coming up now. Yeah, I think they just look like a guaranteed like top 10 side. You wouldn't know otherwise. Like they could push on a small bit more. Like there's quite a few like, and I know like one or two West Ham fans as well. They must be delighted with what's going on at the moment. Like,
go back to
I don't think they're playing brilliant football.
I was just going to go back to Cresswell really quickly. Do you think that he could be selected for England? Because obviously left backs, they've got Ben Chilwell. There's not a huge amount at left back. Would you guys put him in the England squad right now if there was friendlies coming up?
I would want to try for sure, because there is a lack of left back. He's better than Luke Shaw. He's definitely better than Luke Shaw at the minute. And why not? Like before the Euros, surely he should get a go, right?
I don't know. Personally, I would take him with Ben Chilwell, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Who else is there? Who else is there?
Luke Shaw can play left back.
Yeah, Bukayo Saka made the squad as a left back last time.
Yeah, Saka.
Oh God.
Not anymore, Ashley Young, but he was there at the World Cup in 2018.
Yeah, because this is the thing. This is the thing about Cresswell. Actually, I think most of his assists have come from set pieces. Almost all of them, because he's not even been playing wing back this season. He's actually been playing as a left centre back in a back three, and I just had to go and check that to make sure I wasn't just talking rubbish.
No, he did, but in the last couple of days, he's gone back to playing a back four.
I know. So I'm just saying, like, you know, you can't even. It's almost more impressive that he's got those assists playing as a left centre back, but it also hammers home the fact that the vast majority of those has come from set pieces. Shows how good West Ham are at set pieces and how good his delivery is, and then marrying it all with Sam's point. You know, to have that kind of set piece guy in the squad, you know, wouldn't hurt, would it? Especially if Ward-Prowse isn't going to be there. You know, why wouldn't you want him there to whip
I-
in a ball with his left foot?
I think as well, like when you speak about set pieces, I think it might be a wider ranging thing around the league at the moment. Like I see Chelsea and I see Ward-Prowse at Southampton. Like Charlie said it earlier, like it might be old fashioned, like, but there's so many goals you can still get from set pieces. If you've a man with a bloody damn good delivery on him, like you can get goals, like, and David Moyes has clearly seen that. Like Cresswell has a great left foot in him, and they're reaping the rewards, and they're a physical side as well. That's the one thing I have noticed about them. I saw them obviously on Friday night. They're very, very physical. Really, you don't really bully them off the ball at all. Like even like Albana, Souček, Rice,
Mikhail
Yeah,
Antonio
they're just-
when he plays.
yeah. Oh yeah, Antonio as well. And I think, like you mentioned Cresswell, but like I didn't really know much about Jared Bowen before this season, but he's been superb. Like he's had a massive impact on that team as well, and he chips in with a few goals here and there. Like,
Yeah, with Bowen, I think, Sam, you might be the man to tell us more about Bowen, because obviously me, Viraj and Tig pretty much only look at the Premier League. Championship below doesn't even exist for us. To my knowledge, I thought Jared Bowen was quite a good striker in the Championship, and now he's transitioned.
He scored a lot of goals for Hull City, didn't he? A lot of goals.
As a striker, though,
in
was
the
it, Sam?
Championship.
Was it as a striker?
He played as a striker. The thing about Bowen, though, I said this on a podcast before earlier on in the year. If you play in the Premier League or you play in the Championship or you're playing in the League Two or you're playing in the Conference, if you have that finishing instinct about you, you can finish 1-on-1. You don't lose it, whatever league you're in. And he just takes his chances brilliantly. I know he's playing off the sort of off wide this year, but I think it suits him. I don't think he's maybe quick enough or physical enough to play straight down the middle in the Premier League, but it's clearly working off the wing. But yeah, he's a good player. He was a good player in the Championship, and he's doing what I expected of him. I expect him to step up.
That was my point. That was my point. Really, is the fact that he's transitioned well from being a striker to a right mid. It's not even like an inverted winger. He's playing right midfield, right?
Yeah, because there's a comparison though, because they signed Jordan Hugill from Preston. I think it was Preston. West Ham did.
Yeah, Jordan Hugill was at Preston. Yeah.
And he just didn't really get any opportunities at West Ham, and he's left again. And Jared Bowen came in similar sort of time from the Championship as well, and he's really stepped up. So it's quite good to see. What I was going to say about West Ham, though, is under David Moyes, they've only made, on average, about they made the least amount of changes in the Premier League overall in terms of their team. So he's not really changing it that much. That's quite a good thing, isn't it, Viraj, in terms of continuity, maybe?
Funny you say that. I actually had the lineup here from week 1 and week 12. Outside of injuries, outside of injuries, so I'm not counting Mikhail Antonio, who played in week 1, and Haller, who played in week 12, because that was an injury change. The only change he's made in his team is Mark Noble's gone out, and Mark Noble's gone out from week 1, and he switched to a back 5 where he played Masuaku instead. That was the only change, and Issa Diop was the other one who's left out, and he brought in Balbuena. So the two changes you see from week 1 to week 12, and compare that to any other side. For example, let's go with Newcastle, who's week 1, Southampton, so week 1 from week 12, they look like a completely different 11. So we have to give credit to David Moyes for sticking by his players even after the results they had early on with the first 2 weeks, to make those minor tweaks and change in the system, and then stick by his team, and they're giving him results, aren't they?
It's working well. And they've got Palace next, then Chelsea, and then Brighton. So hopefully they should be able to pick up 6 points if they go well there against Palace and Brighton. We'll see, though. With West Ham, it can easily fall off a cliff. Hopefully it doesn't, after we've just spent half an hour or 20 minutes discussing them. In the EFL, then, in the Championship, it all kicked off. Norwich won away at Sheffield Wednesday to stay top, and Bournemouth absolutely hammered Huddersfield 5-0. So two different sort of sides in the Premier, who used to be in the Premier League, going separate ways. Bournemouth near the top, Huddersfield dropping like a stone. And Swansea, they won the Welsh Derby. They beat Cardiff by 2-0. So that's a great win for them. That's a horribly heated battle that is in Wales. Lots of cards flying in there. I think there's a red card for Cardiff, which, showed the heat of the game. In League One, it was a disaster, an absolute disaster for Hull City. They lost at home to Shrewsbury. They were top. Second place were Lincoln City. And they also lost. They got battered 4-0 by Sunderland. Just a dreadful afternoon for the top two in that league. It allowed Portsmouth, Peterborough and Charlton to close the gap on the top two. They all won this weekend. So good weeks for them. Good week for Sunderland, obviously, as well, who are just behind them, I think, in 8th place in League One. In League Two, Newport lost away at Leyton Orient, but they're still top. Cheltenham drew away at Salford in quite a tough. That's a top 6, top 7 clash. So a good point for both sides. 0-0. Forest Green won. They beat Cambridge, so they stay in the top sort of period, the top part of the league. And Carlisle won as well, 4-0. So they are third. So that's League Two for you. And right down the bottom, I've got to mention it. Southend finally won. Southend United finally won a match. They won 1-0 for the first time in about 2 years. They've actually won. So that's great for them, but they're still rooted to the bottom. They beat Scunthorpe. So imagine how poor Scunthorpe must be if you're losing to Southend. But anyway, that's all we've got time for in the FL. Tyke, have you got an Irishman to sort of show off this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Robbie Brady with Burnley. Brilliant win for Burnley yesterday at Arsenal. He actually scored last week and he had a very effective game yesterday. Worked really, really hard and put in a good cross for Chris Wood that he should have scored, but it didn't really matter in the end. Arsenal's embarrassing start to the season goes on, and I think if you would want to put on a bet, Mikel Arteta could easily be the first manager to be sacked this season. Honestly, like it is, I think the players are just giving up now. It is so bad at the moment with the Gunners.
Yeah, there's a race on the sack race is heating up. Chris Wilder or Mikel Arteta. I expected both of them to be gone this morning. Genuinely, I really did. So
I don't think Wilder's getting sacked though. Personally, I think they'll stick by.
He will.
I think Arteta is in big trouble. I think the results are shocking like that. 1-0 at home. They hadn't lost to Burnley since 1974. Like, God almighty.
Yeah, he's under big pressure and deservedly so. Sorry, the postman's just here. Hi, mate. Have a good day. He's dropping off a Christmas present because it's that time of the year, isn't it? It's Christmas time. Hence, we're on Zoom here because we're going to be enjoying the Christmas festivities. I can't even speak. We're going to be enjoying Christmas soon. Thank you for watching another great episode of Premier League. What the fuck are we even called? Thank you for watching another great episode of Premier League Central, okay? I've really enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next week back on Zoom.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.